I think it's very much a reflection of our board and the personality of the foundation. Public recognition has never been a priority for the Starr Foundation. Our board and our founder were really sort of old school, I guess you could say, and very committed to civic engagement and helping others. Our current board chair, who was Mr. Starr's successor at the company, is a World War II veteran who helped liberate a concentration camp in Germany. And I think that those experiences really clarified priorities, and self-promotion has just never been a priority. Now, having said that, occasionally we'll have a grantee ask us if they can use our funding to, if they can publicize our funding because it can be helpful to them, and we're generally agreeable to those kinds of circumstances. We fund a wide range of areas, everything from health and medical research and education, human needs, arts and culture, the environment, public policy. So it covers the full kind of gamut of charitable issues. Recently, though, we've really been putting a lot of our resources into the health and medical side. We're funding a stem cell research collaboration comprised of 3 institutions here in New York City, and then a cancer consortium comprised of those 3 institutions plus 2 others. So that's really been a high priority for our board. We also, I think they are, at this moment in time, very cognizant of the real economic hardship that so many people are facing, and so they have also been quite committed to really basic, fundamental human needs, whether it's housing, food, employment, and so we have a number of commitments in those areas as well. The primary reason for that policy is our capacity. We are just unusually lean in our structure and our infrastructure. We probably have, for a foundation our size, we have maybe 1/10 the number of employees that many foundations of a similar size would have. So mostly it's a capacity issue with respect to managing the paper flow. However, we also found, when we did accept unsolicited proposals, we found that 99% of the time they were not something that fit within the foundation's priorities. So it just seemed like it made sense to save everybody time and change our policy. Would we ever make an exception? We're a pretty flexible organization, pretty nimble, so I don't think we have any policy that is so rigid that we would not make an exception. I think our priorities are pretty clear at the moment, and the constraints on our budget are fairly substantial, so I don't think it's likely that unsolicited proposal would be successful, but we never say never. I would. Certainly I would first encourage them to look very carefully at our website. But even that, you can't put everything on the website. So if they really, felt strongly that that something they had was just such an obvious fit, then they could send it. And certainly we don't ignore and throw things away. But it's not generally the most successful approach, not just with us, but with any foundation. Well, I think you already see some changes. Just by virtue of foundations having websites and people having just much greater access to their priorities and policies and a greater level of explanation about those priorities, you've already seen some greater transparency. The Social Innovation Fund grants out of the government had a higher level of transparency than would be normal with an application process like that. So you're seeing some movement in that direction. But at the end of the day, the foundation sector is not like other sectors. It does not have the same incentives built into it for achieving that level of transparency. So I think that is always going to be a hurdle. I think it's very difficult to allocate the kinds of resources that are necessary to achieve that level of transparency if there isn't some external pressure really calling for it. Personally, no. I mean, the way that I operate, I would say I am on the end of the transparency continuum, or, trying to achieve greater transparency. Anybody who calls me up and asks me a question about the Starr Foundation will get a very direct answer, very clear as to why we might or might not, or cannot do something. So I think that it's in everybody's best interest because everybody's time is so short, and it just makes it a lot easier for people on both sides of the conversation to get right to the point and to be clear about how one operates.